Well, fast am I. Good afternoon. Welcome along to Manx Radio's Mannin line for Friday the 13th. Ooh, that's as spooky as it gets. Alex sitting in for Andy once again this week. Open line through till 1. What would you like to talk about? We're now on round 3, of the bus strike action. At 3 o'clock this morning, bus drivers walked out again as part of this long-running dispute over paying conditions. They're not returning until next Tuesday. How is that affecting you? Also, are we going to talk about potholes on the roads? I did hear a very good analogy that I probably won't use on air. All to do with how the DOI have created more holes in Manx roads than, shall we say, certain other armed forces around the globe. But yeah, it does seem, and we got to that point of where it's the end of the financial year, so we're just digging up things all over the place, as well as potholes. And I know I've seen places where they're patching potholes, but quite frankly, the road services are appalling. And then we're digging up more and digging up more. How many temporary traffic lights are you bumping into when driving around? And how is that affecting your commute around the island, especially when you haven't got a bus to be able to get on board? So do let us know here. 166 177 is the text number, but I much prefer phone calls. 66 13 68 is the number to call. Let's follow up, first of all, on a couple of things that we were talking about yesterday. If you've seen the video of, let's call it brown water, shall we? It's about 150,000 views on the Manx Radio Facebook page yesterday of the massive flood that kind of came down Crellins Hill and past St Thomas's Church there. We did get a short but sweet response from Douglas City Council, just saying that they proactively clear more than 5,000 gullies and drains across the capital each year as part of its scheduled maintenance programme. Yes, well done. Yesterday's flooding and surface water build-up arose from a gully which was sealed off by Manx Utilities last year due to a safety issue. Council workers attended Castle Street to ensure the remaining drainage infrastructure was clear and not obstructed with debris. Thank you very much for that statement. Doesn't give us a huge amount of to go on. And speaking of statements that are short and sweet, we did follow up yesterday on the programme. We were talking about how anecdotally people say that the mobile phone coverage over here seems to be getting worse and worse with Manx Telecom, and they don't seem to want to do anything about it. How many times are you looking at your phone now and it's like 3G or 1 bar of 4G and nothing seems to work on your phone? Well, we approached Manx Telecom and all we got back was, thank you for getting in touch on this. For any customer experiencing issues, the best first step is to contact our support team directly so we can investigate and help on a case-by-case basis. Please feel free to direct listeners to the customer support line 624 624. So there we go. No talk about whether the service on the island is getting better or worse. So if anyone at Manx Telecom's listening, we'd like a bit more than a copy and paste fob off statement, please, if you wouldn't mind. It would be great to hear from you. Now, let's have a look at what else is in the news in terms of things like we've heard about whistleblowing. We're going to talk about that a little later on if there's time. But first of all, I did mention in the introduction there that members of the Guild of the Manx Registered Tour Guides have combined their voices and are calling for the return of the Douglas Bay Horse Tramway to the sea terminal. Another organisation come out in support of this. They've sent a letter to the Infrastructure Minister, Tim Crookall. This has been shared with Manx Radio, with a case for reinstating the tramway from Broadway to the sea terminal, set to be brought to Tynwald in May. That's what Tim Crookall has promised. And Chanel Suku has more on this.
The chairman of the group says they'd like to see services operate, especially on cruise ship days, as this will introduce visitors to the historic, unique treasure that the island has, and it will also link passengers more easily with the Manx Electric Railway to explore Laxey and Snaefell, as well as its environmental impacts as opposed to using a bus. Dr. Jacqueline Yates described the delay and procrastination on this as embarrassing and damaging to the island's reputation. In addition to the restoration of the line, the Blue Badge Guides say the tramway would need to be frequent as passengers can jump on it as soon as they leave the sea terminal. Dr. Yates adds that guides sometimes find it difficult to explain to visitors why they'd have to walk half a mile to get to the tram, saying transport links like these should be easily accessible and obvious. She further states there is support for it as there have been repeated votes in favour in Tynwald, adding while guides often joke très de l'heure, frankly, she says, it's embarrassing.
Embarrassing. There's a tagline we want in the Isle of Man, isn't it, to go international. We all talk about tourism and how we want to boost the number of visitors here, and yet the tour guides, the people who are conversing with our guests on the Isle of Man, are describing it as embarrassing. So why can't we do anything about it? Well, it's because one government department has decided to not allow Tynwald to keep its promise. So, let's see. Thank you very much for that story there from Chanel Suku. Now, we've got David on line 1, waiting patiently. Hello, Quirky, how are you?
Not so bad. As long as I'm not on line 2, I'm happy.
You're paranoid about that now, aren't you? I'm sure the engineers have fixed it now, David. You know, you'll probably be cut off on line 4 instead.
I'm going to see the regulator for the telecom industry and say, we need to abolish lines 2.
Yes.
But anyway, I want to raise an issue to do with page 8 of the Indie, and this is buy your own booze. And I don't. This has suddenly come about. I don't know what it is. And before anybody says I'm not a drinker at all, I packed in when I was about 27. I thought it was a mug's game, to tell you the truth. Anyway, and it was getting so expensive when you were young. But anyway, on this particular issue, the member for Peel, not Mr. Krugel, Kate Lord Brennan, has got a written Tynwald question regarding what goes on when people buy their own booze, bring their own booze to social events or thing. You may have them. I don't know whether you do any in the railway out at Groudle there.
No, not yet.
That's fine. But I know for a fact some of the people in the licensing trade say it's very difficult through the licensing court, and I hope the minister, Jane Poole-Wilson, looks at the whole thing about it is, how do you get a temporary license sometimes when you have a social event or a event that's going to be a charitable event, and they don't sell the stuff, they don't sell the alcohol, but it's donated. And I presume, I don't know what happens in the beer festival actually. Maybe they do get a temporary license there, but I just wonder how much is that costing. Is this a way of getting more revenue for Treasury or the tax department or whatever?
Do you also feel that, David, this could actually be put out as, you know, we are an island that is drowning in regulation, and it's normally come about by well-meaning MHKs who, you know, are finding something to regulate, and then there's tons of unintended or consequences. The recent legislation on charities is a prime example of that, because they try and solve a problem but create 1,000 more. Do you think this is possibly solving a problem that isn't there? What is the actual issue with bring your own booze? Is it causing a social or an economic problem?
I don't think so. Have we had a police? The chief constable never mentioned it in his statements, and he has a report regarding that goes to Tynwald there. It's not mentioned about it. It's mentioned about alcohol abuse and stuff like that, but it usually from pubs and whatever, and people getting too legless and causing disturbances and stuff like that. But the easiest way to deal with that, Alex, is the license when it comes up for renewal is to object to it. Because they used to do in the past, when former chief constables were there, they used to say to them, look, your record in that pub is miserable unless it improves, we actually going to object to your license when it comes back round again. And that's usually smartens them up.
Yeah.
But you have regular ones which happen all the time. But I was just going to slip in, if you don't mind. Are you on next week?
Yes, I'm on next week as well.
Oh, that's fine. I might leave it till next week then.
Well, before you go, David, I've actually got a text that's come in saying, can you ask this of David Quirk? This is probably with your local authority hat on. When was the last time anyone was prosecuted for dog fouling on the Isle of Man? Because obviously dog fouling is, DEFA doesn't issue fixed penalty tickets for dog fouling, but local authority bylaws state that they do. So when was the last time that anyone was prosecuted for dog fouling? And if not, why not? Because I'll tell you now, I'll put my Groudle hat on, which sits under, you guys in Onken Commissioners, and the Glen's full of it.
Yeah, but the difficulty there is we don't have a warden all the time to do that. But years ago, now it's 2 years ago, when I got back in the commissioners, there was somebody prosecuted in the Lakeside, and the basic issue is when a dog fouls and there's an owner there, if you challenge the particular person, not saying you should always challenge them, is just say to him, hey, you're not going to pick that up, I know who you are, and I know what the dog is called or whatever it is. You know what I mean, like that. And I remember there was a lady, and I can't even remember her name, so I can't mention it. But she lived in Lakeside there. Forgot to pick the dog muck up, and actually somebody complained and took a photograph of her, and it went through the system. It probably cost the local authority about £100, but it wasn't going to go to court because she was given an option to pay the fine, which I think was £60-odd, or go to court and maybe the fine was going to be, if it was proven.
But what the example you've given there, David, is effectively that the local authority is meant to be enforcing this, but it's relying on the public effectively enforcing. That was an example of the public going and basically saying, "Oh, I've done your job for you. I've caught this person." So, are the enforcement powers pointless, really?
Not really, but it's an exercise to go through. Obviously we can't have 5 or 6 people wandering around looking for dog fouling or whatever like that. We always react. Local authorities react on people complaining about an issue, or as an area where. And I'm going to mention Roger Payne. Do you remember the Dogs Act? When Roger Payne, he won't mind me saying this, actually was the dog warden, employed by government at the time, funded by government there. Mm-hmm. And one thing he used to say to me was, when he used to find dogs roaming about, he used to chase them and scare them, and they would often run home to their place of thing. Then he would knock on the door and said, "Is this your dog that's just come home there? Well, it's been wandering around. Potentially there's going to be a prosecution there. You want to look after your dog a little bit more? If it gets out again, we'll give you a couple £100."
Right. Well,
right.
Do you know, it almost harks back to the days of, instead of, dealing with the iron fist for problems, it's a case of maybe just, a bit of a soft touch to start with, which probably could do us a whole lot better across society in general, I suppose, wouldn't it?
Well, when was the last time you seen a policeman in Onken?
Good point. I don't know off the top of my head. Yeah, that's a very good point. Even
if we had, because we used to have a police station, remember? But now we don't even know, and I don't know myself too, and I'm probably a big whinger, is that we don't know who the person that looks after the eastern area is always looking after Douglas.
Yeah.
And we get lumbered in to the Douglas scenario there. It's always Douglas and Douglas. I'm not having a kick at them, but they always seem to look after Douglas a bit more than other places.
You know what you need to do, David? You need to get onto your local authorities to take it up with the police. Do you know anyone on the Onken commissioners?
Yeah, but he's always whinging. But I'll see you next week. I've got some exciting stuff for you next week.
I shall look forward to it, David. I will barely sleep from now until then. But thank you very much, David Quirk there. I hope that answers your question, 223. Because, there have been no successful prosecutions for dog fouling by DEFA on the Isle of Man in the last 7 years. That's of March 2024. That was a report on Manx Radio. And there's no central government prosecutions. A local authority secured a conviction in December 2013. Crikey, that's a long time ago. The authority powers, DEFA, doesn't issue fixed penalty tickets, but local authority bylaws do. And just to give you some facts on what David brought up initially there, the bring your own booze issue that seems to have been raised. Venues on the Isle of Man, this has been raised in Tynwald because they may fall outside the island's alcohol licensing laws. The Justice and Home Affairs Minister Jane Poole-Wilson confirmed that the Liquor Licensing and Public Entertainments Act mainly regulates the sale or supply of alcohol, so if customers bring their own drink, the premises will usually not need a liquor licence. Now, this issue has been raised by Glenfarber and Peel MHK Kate Brennan, who was asked whether that creates a regulatory gap compared with pubs and bars which must meet strict licensing conditions. Does that mean that Kate Brennan is now suggesting that everywhere has to be regulated before you allow alcohol to touch your lips? These are, once again, unintended consequences because the Department of Home Affairs says the matter has been discussed at Ireland's licensing forum and officials are now considering whether changes to the law may be needed to regulate bring-your-own-booze venues. More regulation, that's just what you want. That'll be a vote winner. But thank you very much for bringing up that one, David. If you've got any opinions on this or anything else, you can get in touch with Mannin Line today. Give me a call, 66 13 68. Roger's on line 2. Let's see if it works for Roger. It normally cuts David off, but Roger, are you there?
Yeah, hi Alex.
Hiya.
Yeah, I've got just a bit of a problem related to Manx Telecom. I'm disappointed. No, I'm not disappointed. I'm bloody angry. But I had it's in relation to, I had an email this morning, allegedly, I think, from Junara. I think that's how it's pronounced. And I just want to be careful that I'm not opening a scam. Background, when I transferred from Manx Telecom to this company in July, I had a similar thing. Open a Manx Telecom, what looks like a Manx Telecom link, and it just, a big banner came across and said, thank you. And next thing I saw, I didn't have a single contact in my inbox after that. So I went round.
It was a scam,
to,
effectively, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It was so authentic looking. And when it said thank you, and I had lost everybody. Anyway, so while I was chasing that through, I was down at the shop in Strand Street, and he showed me how to check out whether things are scams or not. And that's by clicking on the sender. That opens up another box, and that gives you all the details, the actual address. Despite what it says at the top, John Jura, at that time it gave me the address that I was replying to. It was a Middle Eastern type name and nothing to do with, the link was nothing to do with Manx Telecom. So roll forward, and this morning or yesterday, I received an email from Jan Jura, dear customer, March 26 bill is ready. Click on my Manx Telecom, etc. If you have any concerns or questions, contact MT and they will be able to help you. So that's what I did. I didn't want to open it. I rang them this morning, and the response from Manx Telecom was nothing to do with us now. It's between you and John Jura. With she didn't say wash the hands of it, but that's what she said. We have no dealings with it now, and unable to help you. So I'm in a dilemma. Do I open it? No. Can I go to Manx Telecom for help? No. I'm just hoping. I wouldn't have been the only one that's got this email to say my bill's ready, which all falls in line with when the bill is due. My wife's got one. She hasn't opened it. I just wondered if there will be people out there that have or haven't opened it, and I just want to feel safe to do it. I'm just so disappointed with the response from Manx Telecom after all these years. Nothing to do with us.
I think it's safe to say, Roger, that it's been a huge negative PR piece of damage in terms of Manx Telecom getting. Effectively, what they've done is they've sold ManxNet off to another company, and yes, anecdotally, we hear a lot of evidence of more scams appearing regarding Junara, and not a huge amount of positive feedback about the company. I did have a ManxNet address. I basically got rid of the whole thing and went over to one of the big providers, like Outlook and Gmail and things like this. Because yes, I mean, the person at Manx Telecom who you spoke to is quite accurate. It is no longer, their company or anything to do with them. But yeah, in terms of customer loyalty, they don't seem to be, coming out shining bright on this one, do they?
Yeah, understatement, but yeah, you're 100% right there. It's just, I just don't know. I was so happy that, or confident when he showed me how to quite quickly and very easily decide if something was, a spam or not, and that's what I followed. And if I was to click on it now, and it's John Jura, so I click open, view contact card, and it gives me now John Jura. I know I'm sending it to, if I was to send it to, is Vonton Crow at talktalk.net. Would anyone in their right mind reply to that or open that link? No.
Well, I can tell you now that thank you very much to Linda, who literally just texted in saying, I've had the same message from Janura, I won't open it either. I can tell you, by the way, that I've just, my producer, Chris, has just come in with some information. He said that in the official response to this, in February, there is 226 suspicious emails. As part of the Isle of Man government's cyber security strategy, working in partnership with Manx Telecom, they have actually introduced a suspicious email reporting service. So if you have actually received an email which you're not quite sure about, you can forward it without any issues to SIRS. I'll tell you what, I'll do this in a letter, so grab yourself a pen.
Yeah, just bear with me.
No worries. And anybody else who's thinking of forwarding a suspicious email, the
Fire
email
away,
address
Alex.
is SERS, so SIRS, SERS.
SER, Sierra Echo Romeo Sierra.
That's the one.
Yep.
At OCSIA, so OCSIA.
Oscar, what was the second letter, please?
C, so it's Office of...
Oh, Charlie.
Yes,
Oscar Charlie.
Sierra Indigo Alpha.
Oh, Oscar, yep.
.im. So forward it to that,
.im.
and that goes to the government's cybersecurity office, and they'll be able to help you out further. So
I just forward the whole email to them.
yes, don't click on anything,
And
don't
ask
do
for
anything.
help.
Yeah, forward the whole email to them, and they'll be able to get back to you.
That's brilliant news. Had that lady said that to me this morning, I wouldn't be here moaning on the line, would I? It's just crazy.
Exactly. So there we go. That's the Isle of Man Government Cybersecurity Strategy Centre. So if you drop them a line with that, Roger, and they'll be able to help you out. Hope that helps.
Thanks, Alex. Once
Cheers.
again, you've come to the rescue.
Not
Thanks a lot, mate.
Cheers. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
There we go. It's always nice to help people out. Great to talk to Roger there. Yes, scam. I mean, my personal, and you can hear adverts on Manx Radio regularly telling you, don't click on links. Okay, if something comes out of the blue and it either looks too good to be true, it's asking for something that is too personal. Even on the odd occasion when, if I've been travelling and my bank rings up and said, we've noticed suspicious activity, are you out travelling? I'll go, well, thank you very much, goodbye. And then I'll ring the bank myself on the number that I know and say, I've just had this call. Okay, so no matter how nice they are, never click on a link that you aren't aware of, and if in doubt, be cautious. Okay, and once again, if you have a suspicious email, you want to forward it on to the Office of Cybersecurity and Information Assurance. The email address, once again, SERS. Okay, so what was that? Sierra Echo Romeo Sierra at OCSIA. Which is, oh, crikey, what's O in the net? Oh, I can never remember. OCSIA.im. Okay, forward it to there. Right, this weekend, it's Mothering Sunday, by the way. Have a listen to this.
To celebrate Mother's Day on Sunday, this weekend on Manx Radio, we're giving you the chance to win with Tynwald Mills. We have a whole host of prizes up for grabs, including a £50 Tynwald Mills voucher, lunch for two at the Neb Cafe, and also free entry into Treetop Tumble for up to 2 kids, so that Mum can relax while the kids play. All you need to do is listen out across the weekend for your chance to win. Then make sure you're with us on Monday afternoon after 3 o'clock to find out if you're the lucky winner. Celebrate Mother's Day this weekend with Tynwald Mills and Manx Radio.
Concerned about your hearing? Get the support and help that you need with an expert hearing assessment free of charge at Island Hearing in Port Erin or Ramsey, with microsuction wax removal available in our Port Erin clinic. Island Hearing have been your local hearing care specialists for over 15 years. So for friendly, professional help and advice, just call 830 722 or visit Island Hearing at 1 Station Road, Port Erin. Island Hearing, always listening.
Corkhill Storage, Corkhill Storage. Corkhill Removals and Storage today. We'll store your goods day after day. Safe and secure around the clock. When it comes to storage, we do the lot. At CorkhillRemovals.com.
It's National Bed Month. At B&B Furniture, our bed specialists are waiting to help you find the perfect bed so you can enjoy night after night of great sleeps. With over 50 beautiful beds to choose from, we have beds for all budgets with 0% finance available. And to celebrate National Bed Month, we have extra discounts across all beds. Treat yourself to the bed that your body deserves at B&B Furniture, Snugborough Industrial Estate.
Herschel.co.im.
The
exclusive Karcher store is open with thousands of products, accessories and parts in stock. For Karcher sales and service, Hersham Electrical, Shipyard Industrial Estate, Ramsey.
Crow Isle of Man Chartered Accountants.
Remember when you used to get business advice from your bank manager? Stiff upper-lipped pillars of the community whom you called Sir? Nowadays, you can get all the advice on every business issue from the friendly, down-to-earth chaps at Crow Isle of Man. And some of the chaps are even women. Imagine! Crow Isle of Man. Global presence, local knowledge.
Crow Isle of Man. 627 335.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Manx Radio's Man in Line through until 1 o'clock. Alex in the chair for Andy for a couple of weeks. And you're welcome to give me a call on any topic you like, 66 13 68. Gaz sent me a message off the back of that story that David Quirk highlighted us to, that the bring your own booze venues are in the sights of Glenn Faber and Peel MHK Kate Lord Brennan, who seems to be gunning for them because she's been asking whether a regulatory gap compared to pubs and bars is an issue with bring your own booze. And I said, is this the government coming up with more regulation? And Gaz says, so do I presume the government will be regulating TT fans sitting on grandstands and hedges at public events, drinking their own beer? That's a good point. You know, these are closed public events, not of these grandstands and things like this. I think at times, Gaz, that especially in a small community, and there's plenty of examples when it comes to the Isle of Man government and civil service and politicians, is that they forget that countries governed by consent. Yeah. Okay, otherwise you get social unrest. Governments aren't there to do and dictate, because by that very nature, you have a dictatorship. Thank you very much to... Peter Kelly has sent in a statement following on from our lead story at the top about how another organisation has released a statement. What was it? There we go. The members of the Guild of Manx Registered Tour Guides have released a statement calling for the return of the Douglas Bay Horse Tramway to the sea terminal, following on from Tynwald promising to do it over the last 6 years. And Peter Kelly sent in a statement saying, in the latest newsletter published by the Isle of Man Victorian Society, they give their full support to the reinstatement of the horse tram tracks to the sea terminal. Peter Kelly, the spokesman for the society, which this year celebrates its Golden Jubilee, congratulations, gives praise and support to Charles Gard's YouTube video, A Short Rant. Quoting Charles, he reiterates that the last year the horse trams ran the full distance of the promenade. They carried 78,000 passengers, but since it's been cut off at Broadway, forcing potential passengers to walk to Broadway to get on the tram, numbers are touching around 45,000 per season. I do know they were up this year, weren't they? Beyond 50-odd thousand. The article refers to the celebrations in 1956, when the horse trams are 80 years old, and Douglas Corporation, at the time, brought to the island Pat Smith, the famous Olympic horsewoman, to head up the celebrations. For the centenary, in 1976, the guest of honour was Anne Moore, who 4 years earlier had been part of the British Olympian equestrian team and won a silver medal. And Anne led the parade and the trams and horses from the side of the sea terminal all the way to Derby Castle, with the Mayor and Mrs. Watson on the top deck of the only original double-decker. The tram actually at the time was brought back from the Science Museum in London. It's the one that's now in display in the Manx Museum. Peter says he encourages the island's politicians to reaffirm their decision to reinstate the tracks to the sea terminal, but realises the line won't be complete and in use by the day of the 150th anniversary. However, he does have a suggestion. Here we go. The 7th of June is when Thomas Lightfoot, the promoter of the horse trams, back in 1876, held a ceremony on the promenade near his house, which in those days was known as the Crescent. And Peter suggests that on the 7th of June this year, the first sod could be cut on the grass swathe on Loch Promenade in advance of the work starting on the final section of track. He stopped short in suggesting who should have the honour of driving the spade into the turf. Thank you very much for that, Peter. So there we go. That's a statement from the Isle of Man Victorian Society, lending their weight behind the calls that are getting louder for the reinstatement or the completion of the horse trams being relayed to the sea terminal as promised by our politicians, and he wants them to make good on their word. Right, we were talking about potholes a lot yesterday. Julian is on the line. Hello, Julian. How are you today?
Oh, right, mate. Yeah, good. By the way, with the horse trams, it's been dragging on for a few years, this now, isn't it?
I think 6 years, pretty much, since they decided to de-scope it. And I say that in inverted commas. You can't see me doing that really on radio, but yeah, de-scoping it. But they have promised over 6 years. They keep on promising it's going to be done. The late Tim Baker, who announced it was being de-scoping, said it would be done effectively within about the next 6 months. And of course, it's sat on a desk of an officer in the DOI and nothing's happened.
No, I just noticed that the seawall that nobody wanted got put up in less than a year, didn't it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
For about 900,000.
It's amazing how quick you can do things when you want to, isn't it?
Funny that. I suppose the headline I wanted to say was, instead of having all these potholes, if we had preventative resurfacing instead, and you've got to think about amortizing the costs over the longer period that they stay, they stay for years better, don't they? I reckon it would be 70% less emitting, and it would be about 66% cheaper to just do the preventative resurfacing than doing the pothole patching.
Now, do you think, Julian, do you think this is actually down to the fact that actually what they did after the VAT bombshell is they cut down, because the one thing I will have sympathy with the DOI for is they've got next to no staff. Their staffing has been cut as we go very, very short-term, short-sighted, and it's a case of, well, it's cheaper in the short term when we haven't got the money is to just throw a few bits of tarmac in potholes instead of looking at the long term, because government rarely looks at preventative maintenance. They wait until things completely fall apart and then have to spend a fortune putting it all back together. And do you think that the problem is they don't have the money to invest in the long term?
Well, I don't know, because if you look at it, I would say that it's going to cost about 1.1 to 2.2 million for the preventative resurfacing for a given area, compared to about 3.5 million to do all these repairs. So there might be a short term, it's a bit cheaper to do it this way round, but you've got all the other side of it. I mean, looking at the figures, you'd reduce vehicle repairs by 1 million a year. With all you remember at Braddon there, there was how many cars had the tyres or the wheels smashed with that raised ironwork. You've got cars braking and swerving and turning around. You've got the emissions of, the tyres and all the rest of it.
But that's not a cost to government. They would argue, Julian, that all these millions of pounds of repairs, if I'm being really cynical here, is that actually that's more people spending money in the local economy with their car repair shops, and it's not costing government a penny. So almost, if I'm being a bit militant there, you say, well, actually having rubbish roads and causing more damage to cars is a boost to the local economy.
Yeah, but above everything else, what this government is saying is that CO2 emissions are the most important thing because the world will end in a few years' time. So if there's a reduction in CO2 emissions of 70% in their terms, why aren't they dealing with this then?
In terms of where did you get your figures from in terms of the savings on the repairs and things like this? Because I think anecdotally we all agree when you hit a pothole and then the next time you go to have your cars done, it needs its tracking done because you've been driving over terrible roads. Who actually did the research into that?
Yeah, this is a combination of the UK version of the infrastructure and also the AA and the RAC. Actually, I had to look at their stuff as well. So, at the end of the day, over a long period of time, everyone can relax. Everyone can drive as they want. You're not breaking cars. You're emitting less, and it's about 2/3 cheaper. Just in terms of just getting it done and keeping it preventative over many years. I mean, it's like anything else. If you do a job properly, it tends to be cheaper in the long run. So I don't know. It just seems silly at the moment because the roads are dreadful. I mean, there was a chap the other day who sounded absolutely angry as anything, and you can see why. You're weaving all over the place. It doesn't seem to matter which town now either.
No, they do seem to be. And once again, this is people chatting. My own experience as well. when you're driving around now, I don't know if the weather over the winter's been bad or finally it's the lack of preventative maintenance all these years that we've been putting off maintenance because Treasury said there isn't the money, you can maybe do it next year. And finally it's come to a head that all our roads are suddenly all crumbling.
And like you said, the guys that are out there's a lot less crews all around the place. You know, there used to be a time when you'd have had, I don't know, was there about 30 crews on the island or more at one time some years ago?
I don't know off the top of my head, but there were a lot of crews, whereas now it's all contractor work, of course, which is a lot more money and you have to tender for it and it takes time and things like this. We do seem to have taken a very backward step over the years for possibly the right reasons, but the consequences from it have not been very good. I don't think, Julian, there'll be many people who'll disagree with you that actually, why don't we just start investing in the quality of our roads and doing the job properly first time?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if we are spending a bit more on contractors, just get them to just do the preventative resurfacing in that case and get more of them in there and just get it done, because all of a sudden you'll get a critical mass where most of the roads are in good shape for the next at least 10 years. And then, you know, you haven't got that problem going forward in the future. But, you know, if they're getting contractors in, get some more in then and get it and do it properly instead of all this messing around, just, you know, popping a bucket of tarmac in occasionally or some daffodils.
Yes. Which is your main sort of arterial route that you use on a regular basis, Julian?
Well, it depends. I mean, I tend to go the back roads these days because they seem to be better, to be honest. And with the amount of traffic lights around at the moment, I'm kind of circumnavigating. But, yeah, I mean, you know, it depends. I mean, even just going around Douglas, there's various sections there now that are starting to delaminate. The south of the island, it's funny because you'll get one stretch of road, say, for example, Bayview Road behind Tesco's in Port Erin. Mm-hmm. Half of it's fine, and the other half is like completely, you might as well be on the moon with the amount of craters on it. You know, everyone's talking about the brown cow out on the main road coming in from Douglas to Port Erin, Douglas to Castletown. So, you know, just no matter where you go these days, you've got to kind of pick your spot to go around and get in. And now, how many sets of traffic lights are there around the place at the moment?
Oh, yeah, don't get us started. All right, Julian, thanks so much. Lovely to chat to you. And have a great weekend.
Thanks, Alex.
Cheers. Take care.
You too. Cheers.
Great to chat to Julian there, and yeah, it's very difficult to argue a case against the state of our roads, quite frankly. And thank you very much to Jeffrey who texted in on this, saying, as a motorbike rider here on the Isle of Man for many years, the roads are now so dangerous for bikes, it won't be long before someone gets hurt. Let's hope not. That is a point. If you're on, two wheels and you're having to duck and dive around obstacles and the state of the road is bad, the state of the roads can cause accidents, and obviously that's definitely not what we want. Right, what else have people been texting in? Thank you very much for all your texts. Texter 156 says 3 lots of dog mess on Strand Street this week. Strand Street, the shopping street. When I walked through on Wednesday morning, Strand Street is full of CCTV. Why can't Douglas City Council identify what's going on? It's a good question. I don't have an answer, but surely, yeah, if you've got CCTV, you can catch people who allow dogs to mess in your prime shopping street. Who's this? Pete. Regarding bring your own booze. Oh, well, I'm sorry, we've already discussed that one, Pete, haven't we? Will it mean a license to sit on a hedge with a beer whilst watching the TT? Well, we'll see. And Texter 696, does anyone know what's happening with our beloved red telephone boxes? I saw one in Douglas, it was looking in a pretty poor state. The one across from Ramsey bus station has no door and the paint is flaking off. It looks dirty. The same in Bride. What is happening in the Isle of Man? Everything seems to be going downhill and so fast, and somebody is to be held responsible. The same with the shops across from the big co-op in Ramsey. The owner's been fined 50 quid a day until it's sorted, before all work by the worker has stopped. It says, come on, Ramsey commissioners, time to earn your money and start getting these things sorted. Enough is enough. Rant over, from 696. I don't know who's responsible for the telephone boxes, because, of course, a lot of them now are house defibs, because, obviously, the demand for telephone boxes has gone down dramatically with the rise of mobile phones. So I don't know who does look after them and why they can't be given a quick coat of paint. It's a very good question. If anyone knows, please do get in touch. And also a final one on Texter 79 says, bring your own booze is a great idea. It will encourage people to go out for meals and not get ripped off with overpriced drinks. Well, we've got bring your own booze. That's the problem. They're talking about regulating it. So the question is, will regulation kill it off like it does with lots of other things? Maybe time will tell. And we'll follow this story here on Manx Radio. As I said, it's been raised by the MHK for Peel and Glen Faber, Kate Lord-Brennan. Right, in a moment, we're going to be talking to Vinny.
Make Athol Airport Parking your wash-and-go partner when parking at the airport. With no advance booking required, simply park your car in the designated Athol rental return spaces right next to the terminal. Hand your key to our valet desk, and while you're away, we'll wash your vehicle and return your car to the terminal for when you get back. For prices and our full range of services, including comprehensive valeting menu, just search Athol Airport Parking online. Athol Airport Parking, part of the trusted Athol Garage Group.
Elevate Rubber Cover from Rubber Roof Shop for one-piece flat roofing systems. No joins, no leaks. We also line commercial box gutters in one piece up to 60 metres with a 20-year written warranty against leakage. Call Rubber Roof Shop on 49667.
Our parents were struggling with the stairs, but were determined to stay in their family home. We contacted Acorn Stairlifts. I took them to the showroom to try the stairlifts and found the right solution for their needs. The process was simple. They even offered next-day installation. Choose the island's first choice for stairlifts, Acorn. For a free no-obligation quotation, call Acorn Stairlifts on 672 414 or call into their Douglas showroom at Key House on South Quay. Acorn Stairlifts, keeping loved ones safe in the home they love.
Mothers get more at the Mannin. On Sunday the 15th of March, the Mannin is hosting a Mother's Day carvery. Treat her to 2 courses just £30 per person or 3 courses £35 per person, plus a little surprise gift included. With a first sitting from midday and second sitting from 2 p.m, be sure to book your table today. Call 602 555 or visit manninhotel.im. The perfect Mother's Day carvery. You really do get more at the Mannin.
When the Mannin line's not on air, call Manx Radio to leave your opinion for broadcast on 682 631.
Yes, Manx Radio's Mannin line through until 1 o'clock. Open line on 66 13 68. Jill in Onken dropped us a message saying, we hear about the only other horse trams being in Australia, so I decided to look it up. Yes, you'll see what happens when people actually care about their heritage. It's the Victoria Harbour Horse Tramway. It's brilliant. Not only that, Jill, it's not original. That's the point. We have the one and only original. And it does make you wonder. I mean, for people off the island, they sit here going, what are you idiots doing over there? You know, when you have the one and only thing left in the world, and we don't seem to want to support it, and it could be so well exploited as well. But thank you very much to Jill in Onken. It's a bit like when you go to, I'm obviously a Disney fan, if you go to Disney parks, theme parks, they have horse trams there that people are queuing hours to get on. And not only that, this was the reason that I vehemently denied with all the disagreed with all the scaremongering years ago about it being put on the promenade walkway, as if these things were going to be mowing people down at 100 miles an hour. If you've ever walked down a Disney park with tens upon thousands of people, and the horse trams are quite happily clip-clopping through and not mowing people down. Funny that. But thank you very much, Jill, in Onken, for that comment. And also, Texter 775 says, Telecom has devastated our island. The service is terrible. Why did they go fibre when it seems worse? As for the damage done for our infrastructure, killing off trees to get 5G is a crime. I'm not sure what you're referring to there, as in putting up 5G masts. Have they chopped down trees for that? You'd have to give me more context on that, thank you. He said, I'm also unhappy about smart meters being forced upon us. One was installed when my son was at home. I did not want one, but because it was a key meter, they told my son there was no option. Since then we've had problems, and I think the wiring may be overloaded. I'm the owner of the property and did not consent, as I was not home when they turned up. Is anyone else having issues? Well, it's a good point, isn't it? But smart meters, the difficulty with meters and electricity is it a right for you to have electricity, or are you paying a company to provide a service? And if you're paying a company to provide a service, it's up to them, the equipment they use in order to charge you for that service, I suppose. Whether that's ethically right or not, that's a very different matter. Right, let's go to Vinny, who's been patiently waiting on the line. Hello, Vinny, how are you?
Hi, Alex. Not too bad, yourself?
Not so bad, fella. Well, I believe you want to talk about the roads.
Yeah, well, I've been listening to other people going on about this and that, and it's just a disgrace. You know, I mean, you've got the TT course there, and when anything needs doing on that, they're quite prepared to spend quite a lot of money on it because it makes them money, obviously. Now, then you've got people like in the neutral side. I work in the building game, and obviously you travel around the Isle of Man all the time, everywhere. The roads are a total disgrace. They are a disgrace. I mean, and as for your man before there going on about the patching, he's right. They should be doing it in sections. You know, they waste money on things that don't need doing, and things that are important that do need doing don't get done. You know, it's how far do you go? They just. Somebody was on a couple of months ago, and this government's worse than the last government. Now, I worked for the Highway Board in the 80s, and they didn't have... everybody used to be able to do it, and they were done properly. The roads were done properly, and they were looked after. It's just, like, gone haywire.
You can tell me, Vinny, then. We were talking before, I can't remember who it was, maybe Julian, who said about how we used to have the gangs, you know, like the Lazer gang and things like that. We don't have any gang... I mean, how many people were working?
Well, I was in the Onken gang, so there was, say, about 8 of us. And we'd done the new roundabout by Corkles, because it was just like, there used to be a chippy on the corner there, and then we altered all the road around there, and we worked on that. We'd done that ourselves. We had engineers that worked with us, and it was, every place on the Isle of Man had their own gangs. That doesn't happen anymore. And the problem is, I noticed outside the Premier Inn there the other afternoon, they had about 5 vehicles, maintenance hire vehicles, from across. So they've obviously brought people over from England to bail them out over here because they haven't got the people to do it. Well, that's just ridiculous. That's wasting more money bringing them over from England. There was about 5 vans parked outside the Premier Inn, all with English registration numbers on, highway maintenance. So that tells you alone they're having to bring people over because they haven't got the people over here to do the job. Well, that's just stupid. Surely they should still have these gangs. You should be training people. The boys in them days, in the 80s, the older boys used to train all those lot. And it all ran smoothly. And the roads were in a lot better condition in them days. This last, say, 25 years or more, they're just not bothered. They're not bothered one little bit. And, you know, like I said, I've got quite a few vehicles. The road tax keeps going up every year. Now, that money's meant to go into the roads. Obviously, there's certain pots. Some of it's going in one pot and some of it's going into another pot. That can't be right either, you know.
I can tell you, Vinny, actually, from this, because we've done a bit of fact-checking, that vehicle duty increases because of the tax system, not actually linked pound per pound for road repairs, effectively, but £14 million a year is collected in vehicle duty and goes into Tynwald General Revenue, and then only £6 million a year is spent on staff, materials and services needed to maintain the island's roads, with obviously the larger projects funded separately as capital schemes. But so we pay £14 million a year, and about £6 million of it is spent on maintaining the roads. So it's not even pound for pound.
And you can probably say £3 million that goes on the TT course.
Well,
because you know, that makes the money.
Okay.
You know, the TT course is they work on it on all times of the year. Well, it's a pity they didn't work on the rest of the roads around the Isle of Man, because it is diabolical. It's not just, it's every town. I live in Laxey, but it's every single town. The roads are an absolute shambles. And then you're getting punches, and then lights go out, and it's because of the state of the roads, but they won't do nothing about it. They haven't got the clue. This is the problem. Like you just stated there, they had gangs in every single village or whatever. They haven't got them now. Hence why, like I said to you just a minute ago, I seen these 5 vehicles parked outside the Premier Inn there, all highway maintenance, with all English registers, so they've obviously had to bring them over, to bring the men over to give them help to do things. It's a shambles.
Vinny, can I ask you, in terms of, you say you live in Laxey there, one of your MHKs, Andrew Smith, is in Treasury. Have you lobbied him and said, actually, give more money to our roads? Because I don't know if he's standing again, but he and Daphne Kane, if they're standing again, will be wanting your vote, surely, in September. Are you going to bring this up?
Yeah, I won't be giving my vote, because I just think half of them that are in government, and somebody else mentioned this about 3 months ago, they're a waste of time. They go around your houses knocking on your door for your vote. They get in. They promise you the world. We're going to do this. We'll help you with that. It never happens. It never happens, Alex. It's like that guy said 3 months ago. This government is worse than the last government. It hasn't been run properly since Don Gallen was in charge, to be honest with you. Okay. And it's all gone pear-shaped since then.
Okay.
And this government and the last government, they're a shambles. and they shouldn't feel disgraced with themselves. They're not bothered, and it's a shame because the Isle of Man's a beautiful place, and people shouldn't have to fit and be driving down this road and that road and worried about this and that. And like I say, the money they waste on certain things that don't need doing, and the things that do need doing on the Isle of Man don't get done.
Okay, Vinny, I'm going to quickly move on because I want to try and get Howard in before the end, but thank you very much for your call and your opinion. It's great to chat to you, a new caller as well. So, Vinny, do call back again. Howard, sorry, you've been waiting patiently. And do you want to talk about the scams?
Yeah, well, I came in partway through when you were talking to someone, I don't know who it was, about Junara.
Yes, Roger. Yes.
I don't know if anybody else has had them, but I got, in February, a similar thing to... Your bill has been loaded. Now, this is because I joined up, I'm going to stay with them for a little while and then move over to another company. But I got one yesterday. Junara, and this is 8 o'clock in the morning. Dear customer, your March 26 bill has been loaded to My MT and is available to view at the following address, which gives you Manx Telecom, My MT, all in blue, which naturally is a link.
Yes.
To make an inquiry on your bill, please use the My MT Help Desk tab. But My MT to let us know if your details or circumstances have changed. For instance, if you move house or have changed your surname. Kind regards, Manx Telecom. Now, I don't know whether that's true, it's a scam or otherwise, but I would put it down as a scam. But having said that, if you ring up Manx Telecom to find out, they do not have anybody that deals with the Junara side of it. So this is more or less like a warning to anybody that's out there. Just be ultra careful because these scammers are getting more and more clever.
I would say, Howard, that's a very good piece of advice. Just be more and more cautious. If in any doubt, don't click on anything. And maybe go and actually, if you get an email from purportedly Manx Telecom, go and get in touch with them yourself directly, really.
Well, Manx Telecom were suffering problems with this when Junara announced that they were going to take over the platform. And they found that people were clicking on the blue link and getting into trouble. So Manx Telecom put it out that they will no longer use a blue link to get through to their system, which they haven't been. But this scammers, or I'm assuming they're scammers,
they're very clever, aren't they?
Reverted back to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go, Howard. I'm running out of time, but thanks very much for chatting today. Managed to fit him in at the end there. Yes, if in doubt, don't click on the link. Thank you to lots of you texting in saying agree with Vinny. Yeah, the roads are terrible. Bring back the gangs. Thank you very much for all your contributions today. Thank you to my producer Chris Quirk. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back on Monday. Ta-da.